So let's stop for a moment. Let's say we're on a deserted island, and this strange island has all new species of plants. How do we go about identifying the medicinal uses of those plants? Is it totally trial and error? Is there a strategic method that you can use to identify these plants? And the reason why I ask this is because I want to ask you the question: is our practice based solely on memory and familiarity, or are we aware of the visual cues of the plants? So let's think back to day one. The very first people who experimented with the plants, how did they find out which plants were poisonous? How did they know the effects that the plants had on their bodies without the scientific reasoning or proof? They may not have had formal education or training, yet they were able to maneuver through the plants, the limited plants that they had access to, in order to heal their communities. And I feel we've lost that essence. We've lost that effortless ability to decipher the way of plants. All right, so we're going to learn why diagnosing by the symptom doesn't work. We're going to learn herbalism today from the plant's perspective. We're going to understand how to choose the right herb for the person. And we're going to learn to understand plants by more than what we see under a microscope. Animals have their own types of characteristics or personalities too. And they would use this, and because of the nature of some of these animals, they would be drawn to certain plants. So that's how we have plants like some are called rabbit medicines and some are called bear medicines. And so because of the specific needs of a bear, it's going to be different than the specific needs of a rabbit. They have different medicines and different herbs that are associated with those. All right. So we look at African herbalism now. So we're looking at indigenous groups of people and how they learned about plants, and African herbalism as well. We rely on the plant, the characteristics of the individual plants, and we use observation. And so things like deep roots, growing close to the ground, all of these things tell us something about the plant. All right. And so whenever we're told about what we should eat the rainbow, because we want to have a variety. We want to have a variety of different colors, and the colors are meaningful because that means that we're getting a variety of different nutrients and different phytochemicals, as they're called, so plant chemicals. And so just for instance, the yellow or the bright red and orange that we see in plants is actually derived from what's known as carotenoids. And some carotenoids are actually converted to vitamin A in the body. So vitamin A, what are some of the benefits of vitamin A? Vitamin A is used for maintaining the health of the tissues and the hair, especially related to eyes as well. So all of the tissues. And so the yellow and orange can also let you know that the plant may have curcumin, which is what we know to be the active compound in turmeric, and also bromelain. And so by knowing what these different chemicals do or the different actions that they have, it can tell you now from knowing that this yellow plant has carotenoids, may have curcumin, and may have bromelain. So if it does have those things, we know the actions associated with that as well. So just by looking at something simple, and I like to use this because I feel like, children, that's one of the first things that they learn, colors. So we can understand that. And then when we look further, what makes the color? And that's the more important part of it, I think. In African herbalism, we have complementary organs as well. So it can get really deep and you can understand so much with so little information. And this is crucial because people also, when you're talking to clients and you work with them, they may not always know how to articulate in words. And so from knowing all of this, now you're able to ask the right questions so that you can get the right answers. And you can also remind them of symptoms that they didn't even think about. They didn't even remember. I really want to get us out of asking what and see how things work.